Hey everybody, Steve here. Just thought I'd check in, give you an update. What am I going to call this one? Airline update number 1. Maybe that's a good title. Just wanted to give you a quick rundown how things are going. A lot of you have said you'd be interested in seeing how this airline life is going to go. So far, it's hard. So I left the company I'm going to work for, Air Transport International, ATI. So they're a cargo company. They also do some military charter work, but they're primarily Amazon deliveries. That's what they do, air deliveries for Amazon. So there's some Amazon sites around the country, and I'll be doing that, flying the 767 and the 757. That's what I'm going to be doing. So I was interviewed back in February. I got hired pretty much the next day. I found out, and they were like, "Hey, when can you start training?" 2 weeks. And I'm like, "No, let's go one more." So April 3rd, I left and flew up to Ohio. Wilmington, Ohio is where their main offices are. So I did something with the airlines. It's like a lot of the airlines are the same. They kind of do the same thing. The idea here is indoctrination, I guess is what they call it. So they bring you in, give you a whole bunch of briefings, talking about here's the way we do business, here's what we do, getting you set up. They gave me an iPad, which we use on the airplane, checklist and publications and all that stuff, reference stuff and approach plates and stuff. We used to use paper ones back in the day. Used to give us little books for every instrument approach into every place that we could go. We would carry a worldwide instrument bag that all of these books that you know, and we had little flip up holders, approach plate holders. And you'd flip the page over to the place where you're going, and you put it in this thing, close it, and Velcro it. And then usually at the most inopportune time, it would fall open and fall down into the hole where you couldn't get to it. So that happened a few times. That's the way it used to be. Nowadays, we got these great iPads, and they just suction cup them up on the windscreen where you can see them. And then you got every instrument approach in every airport in the whole world in a little iPad notebook. It's pretty slick. So they give us that. They give us the briefings, the get us set up for pay and benefits and all that stuff, and then they start the discussions about here's the way we do business. Getting us set up with training, and they have these computer-based training. So to learn the airplane, I have access to a website and all of these, and I was loaded up. Everybody in our class was loaded up for training, and we learned systems of the planes, and they gave us these paper charts here of, you know, this is the overhead panel of the airplane. That's not scale, it's smaller, but so you fit it on a piece of paper, but we put these things up and we have to practice checklist. We have to learn the plane. We got to learn the systems, all the hydraulic system, the engines, the landing gear, flight controls, all the pieces and parts of. It's like imagine the you know, when in your car, you know, the little booklet in your car about all the different. I mean, how many times have you looked at that? Well, when something goes wrong, you know, but usually everybody, okay, you fire it up, you put it in gear, you know, maybe you might look up, you know, how to pair up your phone or something like that. But, you know, what's the ignition source? What's the lights? How do the lights work? You know, what does it pull off of? The electrical system. You don't learn any of that stuff. Well, we got to as pilots. So you learn the systems, you learn what every button is. And if you've ever walked onto an airplane and taken a quick look to the left, and looked in the cockpit, you got to know all the buttons and all the switches and everything else, and when to use them and when not to, and so that whatever happens, whatever emergency happens, you can handle. So they teach us these systems. They teach us all of the systems of the airplane, and then we start learning the flows, they call it, which we kind of had something like that in the Air Force But they really, with the airlines, they're big on flows. Like, you know, you memorize the flow, the checklist, the pre-flight checklist, the before starting engines checklist, the starting engines checklist, and you memorize all the steps. And there's something called call outs where you go, you know, the co-pilot will, or first officer will go say this, and then the captain's supposed to say this, and you're supposed to get it exactly right. So that's how you're able to do a 20-minute turn with the you know, Southwest flight, you know, because that's what they do. Military was a little different. They wanted us doing checklist and reading the checklist, and you know, guys would eventually get to the point where you had it memorized, but you were supposed to reference checklist. That's a little different. So a lot to memorize, a lot to learn, books and stacks of, you know, 2,000 pages of manuals on the airplane, and the computer-based training, and probably 50 to 60 hours of computer-based training that I'm having to go through now. And then which is really cool that they set this up for us. So I was there for 10 days, and we went into class every day. 8 o'clock we show up, and we go over this, go over that. We had to do a life raft training. We had to do fire extinguisher training, which I think I've got a video here. Yeah, so this is me here. Wearing a hood. We had to put a hood on and pull the pin on this extinguisher, and then go, and they had a little remote control fire pit there, and we had to put it out. This is the slide training we did. This nice little bump at the end. Not very pleasant. This next picture is our class out at the airplane. That's the plane we're going to be, planes we're going to be flying. Big engines. A nice shot of the plane. So I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah, so that was some of the training we did, and it was nice to get out of the classroom. But it was really cool. There was the classroom we were at. When you walk out in the hallway and you look, and it was right next to the air park there, airfield, and there was a big 767 freighter sitting out there. And that was kind of nice motivation, you know, come out of class and go, oh, I don't know if I can listen to one more briefing, and then you see that airplane sitting there and go, well, that's just a cost of doing business, you know. So 10 days of that. A couple of quizzes, couple of tests, and then they flew me home. So that's the other nice thing about this airline is they fly me to where they need me to go. I don't have to do, like my brother-in-law's has to commute. So he's got to find his way to where he's going to go to work, you know, whether it's jump seat or you know, just sign up for, you know, flight. He's got to do that every time, and if it's full flight and he can't catch a flight, then he doesn't go, and they get a replacement. But he also doesn't get paid. So the nice thing about this airline is they'll pay for me a ticket. So they bought me a ticket up there, and put me out in a hotel, and then flew me back home. And I got home this past Wednesday, and I hit it. Got right to it. So working on CBTs and going through that. I've still got probably another 3 or 4 hours worth to go. But they've also been doing is they will meet with us a couple hours a day. So that's on top of all of this, where they'll go over, okay, let's talk about the landing gears, and they'll talk about some key things and go, hey, you're probably going to be asked this, whatever. So they're really doing a good job getting us ready and prepared. We had 19 people, all males, in our class, 19 guys. And it was interesting. They were hiring from all over. I mean, this guys from Peru and Ecuador and Venezuela, originally from those places. And, you know, they kind of found their way into the U.S. in various ways. And my partner's from Burma. And so they partnered us up, and we're going to be in the simulator together. So I'm going to learn. I'm going to head out here at about a week and a half and go back. I have to go back for the sims, and that's going to be probably about 3 weeks. So simulators, learning all the procedures and the call outs and actually flying. And eventually we get into, the full motion sim. So, and then we actually get a check ride in that. So they'll have an evaluator sit there with us, flight examiner, and we go through and fly and do some engine out stuff and come around land and safely, just, are you safe to fly the airplane? And then after that, it's a couple of observation flights where I sit in the jump seat, watch a crew. So I got to do that for 2 legs. So a flight taking off from here over to there, 1, 2, and now it's my turn to hop in the seat, and I'll be first officer at that point, and run a checklist and flying. And that's the other nice thing. Usually you fly twice a day, 2 legs a day. So I'll get a landing a day, which is kind of nice, for 2 weeks at a pop. So that's kind of the future. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the company, everything I've seen so far. People are super nice, very helpful, and I'm looking forward to, the future is looking bright for them, and that's what I'm looking for. Another 10 good years of flying. That's what I'm looking for. So anyway, that's the latest update. I did break away one day. We went to the U.S. Air Force Museum there in Dayton, Ohio. Went out there for a day, just took a break one day, and I took a bunch of pictures and videos and things like that, and I'm kind of putting all that together if you guys are interested in seeing that. But some very cool airplanes. If that's a great museum if you're into airplanes, by the way. So anyway, that's the latest update. And anyway, if you got any questions or you're wondering about anything that I went over, or if you have a question or anything else, leave a note down below, and I'll try to get to it and answer it as best I can. And anyway, here we go. Off on this new airline adventure. So see you. We'll talk to you next time.